Welcome to Fintech Capital London, a program by Fintech Circle. We live in uncertain economic times and geopolitical uncertainties. That's why we've created this thing to make sure and to highlight what London does to put the Fintech capital markets first.
I am Suzanne Chisti, the founder and chair of Fintech Circle in London. When I came to London 26 years ago, London was the place to be in finance. Over the last 10 years, we have seen a lot from London being the global fintech hub. From Brexit to the global COVID pandemic to a new UK government. It is very important to future-proof UK's capital markets, which are at the heart of our economy. A task force called the Capital Markets Industry Task Force has been set up with a vision to ensure that the UK is the place where great companies can start, grow, scale and stay. So join me and let's visit the London Stock Exchange, which has been at the centre of UK's capital markets for centuries.
To discuss the UK's capital markets reform further, I'm joined now by Dame Julia Hoggett, the CEO of the London Stock Exchange. Julia, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
In July 2024, the FCA published new listing rules to support a wider range of companies to issue their shares on the UK exchange. Why is this such an important step?
It is genuinely a once-in-a-generational change, and it's designed to make it easier for a broader range of companies to be eligible to list on our market, and then to give them much more flexibility once they do list to execute their strategy. Fundamentally, we want to create an enabling environment where every company can thrive on our market and deliver the growth that every founder I meet aspires to deliver.
Which companies will benefit most from the new rules and why?
These rules are actually available for all companies, but for high-growth companies in particular, and the ones who may not have the same track record as older companies, and who have a higher growth trajectory and that their future is ahead of them, as it were, in terms of what may come next, this will give them the ability to explain their story in a much more straightforward fashion. It will also enable dual-class shares to be eligible and therefore retain some flexibility for founders as well.
What is the impact on investors?
The benefit for investors is fundamentally they get a more diversified range of vibrant companies who are executing their strategies, and therefore they get exposure to a broader range of companies to invest in, and that develops broader returns for them and their own investors.
What is your key message for the UK's fintech sector?
Well, firstly, well done so far. I have to say the UK really is a global home for fintech, and the innovation that we have seen and the transformation of our financial services industry on the back of UK fintech is wonderful to see. And what we want to do is make sure that we have created that very environment where companies can start here, they can grow here, they can scale here, and they can stay here. And all of the listing reforms that we have now in the UK are deliberately to do that, to maximise the chance that those great fintechs can find all the financing they need to thrive in the UK market.
As the CEO of the NSE, it must be a very exciting time for you with the CMID reforms. So what is your focus next?
There's so much still going on with UK regulatory transformation. The key focus now is unlocking enormous flows of capital. The UK has the second largest pool of institutional capital in the world, and unlocking so much more of that to go into our scaling companies and into our public markets is the key focus for the next year.
We have just spoken to Julia Hoggett, the CEO of the London Stock Exchange. So now let's go and speak to an investment bank focused on ambitious entrepreneurs and see how they see these new reforms taking place in practice. Fintech Circle is a global community of entrepreneurs, investors, and financial services professionals. We meet regularly for our drinks to get all our community members together. And today we are here at Cavendish to celebrate our autumn drinks. So come and join me.
I
I'm joined now by Lisa Gordon, the chair of Cavendish, to discuss the CMIT reforms further. Lisa, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. How will the CMIT reforms and the new listing rules impact the UK market in your view?
I think the CMIT reforms form just one part of the overall reform agenda, and it's a very holistic approach. So it's not just the changes to the listing rules that are coming through, it's also changes to pension allocations, it's changes to the regulatory framework to try and drive more competitiveness and growth. So in total, those reform changes add up to a very significant potential boost for the London market.
London has always been referred to as the global fintech hub. What makes the London ecosystem so special?
I think access to relatively early stage growth capital, particularly through equity capital markets with AIM, but also the newly emerging Pisces. I think long-term investor horizons, the institutions in London and obviously outside of London in the UK do take generally a fairly long-term supportive approach. So I think, and that together with the reforms adds up to a very healthy environment for growth companies, in particular fintech.
Creating an environment for growth is what makes London such a great location for fintechs. As Europe's first fintech-focused investor community, we are proud to be part of an incredible, vibrant fintech ecosystem. Today is an exciting day because our Fintech Circle Angel Investor Network takes place tonight at our legal partner Fox Williams. Over the last 2 months, we have chosen out of more than 100 applications the top 9 fintech companies who will pitch tonight to a room full of Fintech Circle Angel investors. So come and join us, let's have a look inside. The UK is an innovation world leader as a result of the dynamism in the sector. Today we can see that here ourselves, where great fintech founders meet the best fintech investors to invest into their businesses. I'm here today with Chris Hill, fintech partner at Fox Williams. Chris, it's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The Capital Markets Industry Task Force has led to many reforms already in the public market. Do you think there will be a positive impact felt in the private fintech market as well?
In short, yes. Initiatives like the changes to the listing rules following the Hill Review were designed specifically to encourage more companies to list in the UK by reducing a number of administrative and structural barriers that were thought to be a disincentive to entering UK public markets. In relation to private fintech companies, there are a number of effects that these rule changes are likely to have at both general and specific levels. On the specific side, there are a handful of changes in the rules that are likely to be attractive to founder-led private businesses as they grow towards that stage of thinking about going for an IPO.
You, Chris, are advising many fintech startups and scale-ups. What do you think are the main reasons for wanting to grow the business here?
It's really a combination of different factors. The first is probably the depth of the talent pools and infrastructure in both financial services and technology, so the fin and the tech, with the UK being an established major financial services centre as well as having a long heritage in the tech and creative industries. The fact that the UK has had a thriving fintech scene for over a decade now means that there's a lot of experience to draw on from ex-founders, investors and advisors precisely in the field of doing new things in FS. The second is the regulatory framework, which, as well as being well established, is shepherded by regulators that have specific mandates to foster competition and innovation. That is definitely not the case in many other jurisdictions, and acts as a real plus to lots of founders who are looking to innovate in or around the edges of financial services. The third is the tax and investment environment, and in particular the SEIS, EIS and VCT regimes that have just been extended for another 10 years. and are often quoted as being a real boost to the ability of early stage companies to attract investment from experienced angels or early stage VCs. There's also the business asset disposal relief, which used to be called entrepreneurs relief, that provides for greatly reduced capital gains tax on the sale of a company.
In summary, there are so many reasons to be positive for London and the UK fintech sector. The UK is the 6th largest country by GDP, so it's from a position of strength that we are future-proofing our market, including through the biggest capital markets reforms in 40 years. The results are a new main market and a better rulebook, unlocking pensions and retail capital, more supportive investor-company relationships, including remuneration and corporate governance, the world's first regulated crossover market, and a drive to a better culture and celebrating entrepreneurs. Thanks for watching Fintech Capital London. The full program is available to view at Fintech Circle's website. From us at Fintech Circle, goodbye.